Hello, my friend. It's your host, Gina Casbarro, and I'm coming on for a solo episode today to talk all about Feng Shui and how it can help you spark change and transformation from a place of flow instead of force. I'm so excited for today's conversation because so many people have been asking me more about Feng Shui and how to use this work in a powerful way. And that's what today's episode is going to be all about. So, if there is an area of your life that you've been trying to spark change, you've been trying to create a new habit, or you've been struggling to let go of an old mental block or pattern, this conversation is going to be a game changer. It's going to help you approach your obstacles and challenges from a place that feels more fun, creative, intuitive, embodied, instead of from a place of pressure and trying to force yourself to change or be different or evolve or shame yourself for not being there already. So, if you're ready to make a change in your life in a way that feels more fun, embodied, and creative, keep listening. Everything I'm going to share with you today is really the heart of why I got into Feng Shui in the first place. Because I was always a very analytical, mind-based person. I was constantly overthinking and overanalyzing and would get lost in this labyrinth of my mind and had this tendency to put so much pressure and be looking at my problems with this death grip that I would just be stressing myself out so badly. And when you're in that state of high stress, high cortisol, it's so much more challenging to think clearly, to come up with creative solutions, to come up with creative ideas. So I really craved practices to help me get out of my head and into my heart, into my body, into my intuition, into creativity. And through following the sparks, that's how I found Feng Shui. And Feng Shui is really this tool, again, to work with your environment, work with energy, work with nature in a way that you are working with your senses, what you can see, taste, touch, hear, smell, in a way that changes your physical state. It changes your emotions, it changes how you feel, and it can help change how you think. Because truly, that's how we spark change from all of these levels, from the thoughts that we're thinking, from the ways that we're feeling, from the actions that we're taking. So Feng Shui is a tool to help you do that. Okay, so let's break down some examples of how you might use Feng Shui. I'm going to tell you some stories about how this has been showing up with some of my clients recently. For example, one of my clients is really struggling to create a new habit that nourishes her. She really wants to create an evening routine that's around journaling and intuitive practices and creativity. And she was finding that she was really struggling to follow through. She was getting distracted by TV and other things. So if you have a habit that you want to start doing or stop doing, Feng Shui is an incredible tool to help you do that. And we're going to get into it. But I just want to give you some examples again of how you can use this and when it's so powerful. So one way is if there's a habit that you want to be doing, Feng Shui is an incredible way to shift that. Another one of my clients has really been struggling with self-love and speaking to herself kindly. So again, instead of just trying to catch the thoughts and constantly working with the thoughts and being in that very mental practice, Feng Shui is a really powerful tool to, again, create new mental patterns as well. And we'll talk about how you can do that. And then again, another client really wanted to make more time and space for her art, for connection, for conversation. And she found that her home wasn't really supporting that goal or intention. So I'll take you through a journey of how all of these people made changes and how we work together with Feng Shui to create breakthroughs in those areas. So again, for you, start thinking about, is there a habit that you want to be doing that you've struggled to do? Is there a mental pattern that you've been struggling to break, whether it's criticism or focusing on what you're lacking or comparison or judgmental thoughts? What is a mental habit or pattern that you're ready to let go of? Or what's an area of your life that really matters to you that maybe you haven't been prioritizing in the way that you really want to be prioritizing that thing? And I'm always putting these habits and practices into play for myself too. And what that looked like for me this weekend. I'm getting a lot better at this. And in the past, I used to be very, very hard on myself. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I got into Feng Shui in the first place, because I could be very critical, very judgmental, have all these very harsh thoughts, and that nothing was ever enough. And I've done a lot of work on this over the years and feel a lot better in so many ways. And this can still come up for me. It can still show up of feeling like I'm behind, I'm not moving fast enough, I put all this pressure on myself. So as I sat yesterday and was trying to change these mental thoughts just by working with the mind, I was like, why am I doing this? I have other tools. If this is causing me frustration and causing this like mental block for me right now, what are the other tools that I have? So that's when I turned to my Feng Shui practices, and I'll get into what that looks like for me in a minute as well. Okay, so what's the solution? If you're struggling with changing something in your life, if you're struggling with creating a new habit, you're trying to change these mental patterns, instead of trying to work with just the mind alone, one incredibly powerful tool I have, and why I bring in Feng Shui, is to work on a more embodied level, to work with your senses, to work with your physical environment. We are sensory beings. So when we see things, when we smell things, when we hear things, it creates associations. Like Pavlov's dogs. You probably all heard this story that Pavlov, I think, trained his dogs to be fed or get a treat when they heard a bell. And eventually they could just hear the bell and they wouldn't even get a treat, and they would already start salivating. Their body was conditioned to associate different things. So Feng Shui is an incredible tool, again, to create different associations that we're struggling to create in the mind. Because how we think, it's all based off of conditioned habits, conditioned patterns. So if we're stuck in a mental loop of being judgmental, of being critical, that's what's practiced. So in order to create a new mental pathway, we have to create new associations. And by pairing those associations with sensory elements, sensory details, it can make it that much easier and that much stronger. So that's why I weave in this very mind, body, spirit approach, so that we don't just have to work with the mind. We can use these fun, creative, intuitive shortcuts, I feel like, to create the change that we want to create in our lives. Okay, so how do you do that? Number one, choose an area of your home that feels connected to or related to your goal. For example, my client who wanted to do the evening routine found a spot in her home that she felt like would be perfect for that. So she chose that spot. The other client who was struggling with self-love and speaking kindly to herself has this sanctuary in her home, this room that's like just for her. So she chose that spot. Another client who wanted to be adding more art and time for connection and creativity has a room in her home that is dedicated to that, but could be elevated. So she chose that spot. And for me, I chose an altar that I was going to work with for this practice, this change that I wanted to instill. So for you, think of what that area could be. If you want to create a breakthrough in your health, maybe it's your kitchen. If you want to create a breakthrough in self-love, maybe it's your bathroom, or maybe it's your bedroom, maybe it's your closet. If you want to create space for more connection and community, maybe it's your living room. Whatever it is, see what room you're intuitively drawn to, or even one space. It could be one corner of a room. What is a space that you feel like could be connected to this goal or intention? Number two is all about releasing, clearing, cleansing, making space. So whatever area that you chose, it's time to clear it. It's time to declutter it. It's time to release any stuck or stagnant energy. So this can look like both physically removing any items that you no longer need, that are just taking up space, that are not aligned with your goals or intentions. So for one of my clients, that looked like letting go of a desk that she wasn't really using, that wasn't really aligned with her lifestyle now or her goals now. So she made that physical space. And then once you make space, then I really like to clear and cleanse the space physically and energetically. So, one way I like to do this is through using a cleaning solution of white vinegar, water, and a little essential oil, a few drops of lemon essential oil. So, once you create this mixture, both the white vinegar and the lemon are physically clearing and cleansing, they're energetically clearing and cleansing. So, take everything out of the space or clear the shelf or clear the area and use this solution to physically clean the space. And as you're cleaning, saying a prayer of, may I release any energy that's stuck or stagnant in this space. May I clear the way for change and transformation that supports my highest good. And imagine that space being energetically cleared and cleansed. You can open your windows as you do this. It's great to let in fresh air and sunlight, open the curtains, and really invite that fresh energy in and see the stagnant, stuck, dense energy releasing. And again, Feng Shui is a co-creative tool. It's not a magic pill or something that you can just make one change or put a money plant in a corner and call it a day and just like think that's going to be it. This is a co-creative process. So by you declaring these intentions and asking for support for this space to be energetically cleared and cleansed, and then doing a physical act yourself, showing the universe, I am willing to take action. I am willing to physically clear my space, and I'm asking for support. I'm asking for support from my intuition. I'm asking for support from my heart. I'm asking for support from spirit to help me do this on a deeper level. So it's both of you working together. It's you taking the physical actions with your hands and also inviting in that cosmic, divine, intuitive energy to support your process. Step 3 is about renewing and activating the space in a way that supports your goals and intentions. For example, one of my clients who wanted to create more space for her art, for connection, after she removed the desk that she was no longer using, she added another chair. So instead of her family or friends having to come stand around when she had the one chair, now she has 2 chairs. So she's creating the physical space for connection. She created more space for her art and for her art supplies and let go of all of the things that she no longer needed in order to make space for what she does. And so often people have a tendency to hold on to things because they think, oh, sometime in the future, I might need that thing again. Sometime in the future, I might want to go back to XYZ. So our spaces are cluttered with reminders of things that we're not doing currently, that we're putting off, that are not aligned with our priorities in this moment and are taking up physical space and energetic space. So there's so much power when you allow yourself to let go of what is not serving your life as it is right now. What's serving you in this chapter, and trusting that if in the future you want to pick up whatever habit or hobby or whatever it is again, trusting that you'll find the tools that you need at that moment and in that chapter. And that if you give something away now, if you sell something, that trusting that you'll come across whatever you need, whatever supplies, whatever physical items in a way that serves you in that future moment and that you don't need them right now. You can be in this state of flow, of reciprocity, of giving and surrendering and releasing and trusting that when you need something, that thing will come back to you. You don't have to hold on to everything. It's safe to let go and clear your space and your mind and your life from what is no longer a priority right now so you can make space for what is. So like I said, that client added a chair. She created the space for what she wants to prioritize. The other client who has that beautiful sanctuary upstairs created an altar for her inner child and had photographs of herself when she was younger and added elements to her space that would make her inner child happy, so that again, when she looks at them, she's reminded of how she wants to treat herself in a loving, kind, compassionate way, and can let go of the old habits of judgment and criticism that were really holding her back. And then the other client who wanted to create that evening routine is working on beautifying this area of her home downstairs, adding crystals, adding candles, adding other elements that will make it feel that much more inviting and appealing and fun to go and spend time in. When you're looking forward to doing something, it makes it that much easier to do it. So when you know, there's this delicious candle that I'm gonna light and I'm surrounded by these things that make me happy, I can't wait to do my evening routine. It's gonna make it that much easier to pave the way to do that. And for me, I created this altar and I added this gold jar. Because again, I've been working on celebrating myself a whole lot more, celebrating my life, celebrating my business, celebrating this moment exactly as I am, and remembering this moment where I am now is something I wanted so badly years ago. I'm exactly where that past self wished I would be. So instead of just constantly thinking about the future and thinking about the next goal and the next milestone, really taking time to enjoy the now and enjoy all the beautiful things I've created in my life. So this gold jar, I have paper next to it and I'm writing down every single day something I'm grateful for about my life, something I'm grateful for about my business, something I'm proud of, something I want to celebrate, and adding these pieces of paper to this gold jar. And I have this candle that I'm lighting and activating on this altar. So it's reminding me in a physical, sensory way to reinforce this habit of celebration, of gratitude, of enjoyment, instead of just trying to think about this with my logical mind or just like journaling about it. I get to do it in a way that feels sacred and engaging and embodied. Okay, so you've chosen the area of your home that's connected to your goal. You've released, cleared, cleansed, made space in that area, and then you've renewed and activated that area. You've added something that makes it easier for you to fulfill that goal or intention, or supports your process, or makes it more inviting to work with that space. So now the fourth step of this process is doing this repeatedly, engaging with this area again and again and again, because change doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. So if you've practiced an old way of being, if you've practiced an old habit, if you've practiced old thoughts or beliefs multiple times, it's going to take repetition and reinforcement in order to make the new belief, the new habit, second nature and happen that much easier the way that the old default pattern was. So again, that's the power of working with our spaces in a way that we can turn something into ritual. We can build something into our days, into our calendars that feel tangible. So again, for me, I can light that candle every day. I can write my gratitude on the slip of paper. I can fold it up and put it in the jar. My clients can use the chair in their space to make art and invite in connection and engage with that space every day, because it's not enough, like I said, to just put a money plant in a corner and, hope abundance rains from the sky. We have to be co-creators of our dreams. We have to be co-creators of our lives. And the universe will work with us. It will send us signs. It will send us breadcrumbs. It will send us clarity and insight and inspiration. And we have to show up for it. We have to make the space in our lives, in our schedules, in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies for that to come through, and be willing to follow the breadcrumbs, follow the guidance as it comes. So once you've chosen your space, you've cleared it out, you've renewed it and activated it in a way that nourishes your goals, then it's about how can you build a habit that engages with this space every day? Are you every day sitting in the space that you've created, working in the space that you've created, doing some kind of physical ritual in the space that you've created? And know that every single time you do that, it reinforces the change that you want to create and spark in your life. And the result of all of this, like I said, is that you get to spark change and transformation from a place of flow instead of forcing, instead of pressure, instead of shaming or judging yourself for not moving faster or not overcoming some block quick enough or not, making the change or starting the new habit that you've been telling yourself you should make. You get to approach this change from a more playful, fun, engaging, creative way. And when you do, you ease the resistance and you make it that much easier to step into what it is you want to create from an embodied place. And that's why I love Feng Shui so much. And it's one of the tools that I weave into my practices. And because people have been asking about this more and more and more, I'm offering something special that I'm going to tell you about at the end of this episode that's going to be an opportunity for all of the people that work with me to start a new journey in their life from a place of ritual, from a ceremony that opens up this portal to what's next. So if you're feeling called to really step into this next level version of you to spark a major change or transformation, I can't wait to tell you more about what that is. Before I do, I want to explain a little bit more about how this fits into the overall process that I work with clients, because so many people ask, do you offer special Feng Shui consultations? Do you work with people in their homes? Like, how does this work? So the way that I work with clients is over the course of 6 months, and we go through something that I call a spark process. This is about sustaining your spark. So it's about developing habits and practices and tools that support you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Again, because when we're depleted, when we're in a state of high stress, high cortisol, fight or flight, it's that much harder to, like I said at the beginning of this episode, think clearly, come up with creative solutions. So I work with my clients to see what's already in your toolbox that's really serving you. What habits do you already have? What tools do you already have that you're using? And what do you want to elevate? What's missing? So we explore that together in the work that I do. And another big piece of this is about learning to embrace your emotions. Because something that often causes so much stress that I think most people are not aware of is that when you resist your feelings, when you resist feeling afraid, confused, uncertain, doubtful, whatever it is, those feelings get stronger. If you've ever heard the phrase, what you resist persists, they don't go away. People try to numb them out with TV or food or sex or distractions or whatever it is to feel better instead of facing what's going on under the surface, facing their emotions. And when you do that, those feelings just fester and compound, or they block us from being able to make the changes that we want to make in our lives. So a big part of sustaining your spark for me is about learning to embrace your emotions, learning to feel them without resistance, without judgment, without fear, so that they don't have to stop you or get in your way. And you can look at all of your emotions, both the quote unquote good emotions and pleasant emotions and emotions that you want to feel, as well as the emotions that you might not choose or that you could label as bad. And you can be open to the lessons in all of them. You can see them all as teachers without judgment. And when you do that, you all of a sudden become so much more courageous and willing to create change in your life, to do things that feel uncertain or scary because you trust yourself to be able to navigate any emotions that come up. So that's what sustaining your spark is all about. And then the next piece of this is Phoenix mindset. And it's about being able to be aware of the stories that you tell yourself, the limiting beliefs, the critical thoughts, the stories that tell you I can't or that focus on failure, and instead developing a Phoenix mindset, bringing awareness to those thoughts and then asking yourself, are those thoughts true? Do I want to believe them? Are they serving me? And instead focusing on empowering thoughts, telling a story about yourself of how you've overcome challenges in the past, how you've learned from all of your quote unquote failures or the things that didn't go according to plan, and you build up this new belief in yourself and trust that you are always in this process of growth. There's always something that's dying and always something that's being reborn. And you can build this new sense of capability, empowerment, and courage within yourself. The next part of this is about activating your vision. It's about getting clear about what you really want. If you gave yourself permission and space to dream, if you allowed yourself to imagine what was possible, not from a place of shoulds or expectations or what you think society is telling you you should be doing or what success looks like, but really defining that for yourself, asking yourself, what do you want? If you desired anything, what would that be? And giving yourself space and permission to dream, and then activating that vision. Again, this goes so far beyond just creating a vision board and sticking it on your wall and never looking at it again. When I work with my clients, there's all kinds of tools I bring in to activate that vision so that you can see it in sensory detail and connect to it and connect to the version of you who's already brought that vision to life. So we get clear on what matters. What are your goals? What are your intentions? What would your dream life look like? And then comes Feng Shui, and it's the piece about redesigning your reality. So once you're clear about your goals and intentions, then we explore how you can work with your space, how you can make different changes, big or small, in your environment, in the way that you dress, in ritual, in using your intuition, using imagery. And that's when we explore what this could look like to you in a really unique and personal way. And I do all of this virtually. So oftentimes clients are sending me pictures, sending me videos of their home, sending me floor maps. So depending on you, depending on what's going on in your life, depending on your goals, depending on your space, we'll weave in Feng Shui in a way that really supports and elevates whatever it is that you are working through. And the final piece of this process is about kinetic confidence, because so many people think that in order to achieve my goals, I need to be 100% confident. I need to know exactly what I'm doing. I need to have all the answers. Versus, I believe confidence is built through motion. Confidence is built through doing. Every time you practice something, every time you're willing to do it imperfectly and show up, you learn. If you take the time to reflect, if you take the time to evaluate, you get stronger, you build your capacity, you build your confidence. So we work on that every single week for 6 months. What's the step that you're going to take today that's going to move you forward in the direction of your dreams? You make your best guess, and through our time together, you really learn the skills of evaluation, of celebration, of courage. And that's how dreams are built. That's how a life is built, by imagining it, having the courage to follow it, and then being able to enjoy yourself and your life every step of the way instead of constantly chasing some future state or some carrot or goal or achievement that never comes. Because when you get that thing, then you just want something else. So a big part of this work is developing the mindset and the habits and the practices to enjoy your life now while you're creating this next level, while you're designing and living into a future more beautiful than anything you could possibly imagine right now. And for me, that's what following your spark is all about. It's about giving yourself permission to follow these sparks of purpose, inspiration, creativity, passion, and trusting that when you do, it will lead to beautiful, incredible things. So, if you are ready to step into your next level, if you're ready to have a breakthrough in a challenge that you've been struggling with for months or years, or you're ready to step into a dream in a bigger way, or even explore what those dreams are, now is an incredible time to start working with me. Because right now, what I'm offering for all new clients that start this month in October is I'm going to be hosting a very special portal ceremony on November 11th that is all about stepping into this next chapter. We're going to bring in ceremony. We're going to bring in intention. We're going to bring in Feng Shui. And you're going to learn how to use your environment and work with this whole process in a way that is a catalyst to step into this next chapter. So if you are craving support, if you feel like now is the time to make a change in your life, I invite you to book a clarity call with me. These calls are free and they are all about taking the time and space to illuminate what are your dreams? What are the things that you deeply desire if you gave yourself permission and space to explore that? We'll clarify a dream vision for your life that lights you up. We'll get clear on what are the things that are getting in your way, what are the obstacles, roadblocks, or challenges that you feel like are stopping you. And then I'll be able to share, once I have that holistic, bigger picture, how I see that you could work with these Spark tools in a way that's really unique to you and simple and potent and can change your life. And then we'll have the opportunity to explore what working together could be like. What difference would it make to have 6 months of support, to have someone that you know you can talk to that can help you transform your mindset, your habits, your environments in a way that are going to support your deepest goals and passions. So if you're curious to explore what that could look like, go to ginacasbarro.com/clarity call and we'll see. We'll see how this work could change your life and if this feels like a good fit for you. And like I said, for anyone starting with me this month of October, I have this very special ceremony coming up that's going to be included for all of my one-on-one clients that I can't wait on November 11th. So now is a perfect time to find out if this work is right for you. All right, my friends, I hope that you take something away from this episode that you are going to be able to work with in your space to start making changes to create an environment that really supports your goals and intentions. And if you're craving support with that, I cannot wait to talk to you and connect and hear about the dreams and goals and visions on your heart. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll talk to you soon.